Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. In today's video is going to be updating you all on the nerfs and buffs changes coming to Demonology Warlock and Destruction Warlock on Reset. They were announced today, and they're going to be hitting this Tuesday for pre-patch. However, not to beta yet. They're going to hit beta. Spoilers ahead. This post was put out earlier, though. So also my tummy hurts from eating jelly beans on stream. So if I'm a little fast in this video, I'll try and zoom through it. But I want to say that there's a bit of napkin math in here. Lock sims aren't being done. I don't know what's going on with them at this point. The last thing I heard is they're not being worked on. I don't know. People are smarter than me work on them and all that. But regardless, there aren't any sims for pre-patch. There's very rough napkin math in here based on the tuning we're going to look at here as well. And I'll give a general breakdown on maybe where things are at roughly. So with maintenance on Feb 17th, which is this coming Tuesday, or Wednesday for EU, I guess, for Reset, a tuning pass is coming in to pre-patch, to retail. There's no indication it was hitting beta in this post here. However, some healer stuff got, changed, whatever. This will be coming to beta. These changes are going to happen in the beta. I would assume in the hotfix, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know, but they're not testable right now. Obviously, this is not here. I don't believe they're on PTR. I don't think there even is a PTR for retail anymore at this point, with pre-patch being here. And as far as beta is concerned, they're not there. So I will say off the bat, Demonology got hit pretty hard. However, all of the top dogs got hit pretty hard. Unholy, as you can see, got blasted. Demon Hunter, Devourer, and Havoc, 4 and 5% aura nerfs. Probably the lowest of all the higher nerfs for classes in general, but I mean, they weren't like as good as like Unholy and things and Demo, but they're still pretty good. Let me see here. Mage, Arcane got hit pretty hard. Nothing to fire. So more tiers coming in from them in a few days. And Frost got some reshuffling of damage from the core toolkit to like Apex talent or hero talent stuff. Monk got some reshuffling as well. Let me see. Holy Shadow, sure, there you go. Yeah, Demo. They're for Warrior too, right? But the big dogs being like Unholy, Arcane, Demo, and to a bit of a lesser extent, like Demon Hunter still being very good and stuff. They all got hit. Now, there's like a general tuning number that I'm sure Blizz has a rough idea in mind for what they want to tune around in a single target. AoE varies a bit based on profiles, a bit harder to like tweak and tune, but I do think these changes here, they're coming to Warlock. Other classes too are probably trying to knock some of the higher classes down into that bracket of like, this is the rough vicinity of where we want classes. I think the number is somewhere like around like 70 to 80k. I mean, that's without potions, 80k-ish, roughly, give or take. Could be wrong, very rough estimate there. But either way, I guess like comparatively to me hitting a dummy, I should say. It feels like that's like the general vicinity I've seen in other classes when we're testing on dummies together, but that's with and without pots, without like, bisc gearing and stuff at times. But the outliers have been knocked down TLDR. So the changes here. Now, this is what makes me... this is what confirms this is coming to PTR. Damage dealt by demons summoned by... Sorry, not PTR, beta. Summoned by Dominion of Argus decreased by 45%. This is a whopping nerf to Demonology. We knew this was probably coming. The Dominion of Argus pets are RNG in a sense. Some of them do a lot of damage. Some don't do much at all. And this is a substantial nerf to them. However, it's important to note the Demonology Apex talent is not on retail. So this change here essentially won't affect things on retail on Tuesday for Reset because it's not there. But on beta it is, and it's coming to beta. Putting that aside, so a Soul Harvester has some nerfs here as well, but it is to Demonology only. So demonic soul damage reduced by 25%. Which is, I think I'm still online somewhere here. I am. Let's go over here. Yeah, so basically this demonic soul feeds into manifested avarice and things like that, being nerfed by 25%. And soul anathema damage being nerfed by 35%. However, these correspond to Soul Harvester Demonology only, not Affliction. These are the changes I think should have been made last week when they came in and hit Soul Harvester both for Demonology and Affliction all the same. Like 3 weeks ago, there were some pretty big buffs to Demonology. It was like Tattle's Volition was buffed like from 5 to 35 wild imp damage. This is buffed. I think this is buffed too. I think they even buffed Soul Anathema. They buffed a lot of things. Soul Swipe. They buffed those to Demonology only. Affliction had its own stuff that wasn't affected by that. It was a bit higher than Demonology was, respectively. And then last week, they came in and they nerfed Soul Harvester universally, which hit both Demonology and Affliction. AF got knocked down. Demonology, Soul Harvester Demo needed to be knocked down a bit last week. AF got hit as well. I think that AF might have been over-nerfed a little bit, but for Soul Harvester, maybe as a byproduct of Demonology, Soul Harvester stuff being nerfed a bit. It's hard to say, but this week they came in and hit Demonology, Soul Harvester only. So they either agree or like, hey, Soul Harvester AF's in a fine spot for what our internal numerical tuning looks like, probably, and we're going to hit Demonology more specifically. So glass half full, thank God they didn't hit AF Soul Harvester again. Destruction, Rain of Fire 10%, Immolate 15, Conflict Rate 20, Incinerate 20, Ruination nerfed by 35%. It was buffed by 50, I think, last week. I don't know why this is being nerfed again by a bunch. Who knows? It hits very hard in AoE. It's affected by Destro Mastery, but I don't know what's happening here. Blackened Soul is approaching the changelog level of Psychic Link, I feel like, at this point. For those that don't know the meme, Psychic Link for Shadow Priest changes a million times every patch. This is our Psychic Link. This thing changes every other week, it feels like. This is a large nerf. It was buffed a month ago. I don't know why. I mean, Destro AoE was very strong. And realistically, a lot of that is Blackened Soul. They did buff Rain of Fire by 10%, so maybe trying to shift some damage from Wither, Blackened Soul based damage to general Rain of Fire profile. They nerfed both Ruination and Hellcaller, so maybe like a reshuffling of AoE in a sense. This is not equal to this, or this though, but is what it is. Destro single target is lacking a lot though. Even with last week's buffs, like 10% to Chaos Bolt and like 10 or 20 to these modifiers as well, didn't really change much at all. And without Bolt being buffed here, these once again are pretty minuscule. Now I do have math on these I can show you. So we'll start with, I guess, Destruction. Yeah, so we have Destro here. This is some dummy testing like last week or something like that. The 3rd. After the buffs went in, like 2 weeks ago, whatever. Basically current Destro on beta, like post Soulfire buffs, all that and everything. So I know I can do like I can do like split screen here, but it doesn't show the actual like bar, so we're just gonna do this. So the nerfs that came in, or I guess the change that came in to Destruction, they might seem like they're sort of impactful because they buffed these last week, but I still don't think they're that impactful when you factor in the Ruination nerf to Diabolist, which is we're playing mostly in single target. Hellcaller is worse than Diabolist in single target, and that is unfortunately just the world we live in. So the buffs that came in here: Immolate 15%, Conflict Rate 20, Incinerate 20. Immolate is doing 3%. 0 times 100 is still basically 0. I mean, it doesn't do anything. This is a very small amount. But whatever, it's something. When it comes to Conflict Rate, 20%. It's doing basically 10%, 1.59 million. 20% of this is what? 300k basically. It'd be like 320,000 damage if I broke this down for 20% increase in this log, roughly, right? And Immolate, yeah, Incinerate is 20 as well. Incinerate, 2 million basically. 20% of that is 400k. I guess a little bit more because of like 0.02. Point being, whatever. I did some really rough napkin math here, taking just this log I did from 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever, with the buffs, and adding in the raw values here, like 20 to Incinerate, 20 to Conflict Rate, 15 to Immolate. You got to factor in a large Ruination nerf, though, too, by 35%. When I factored this in, I have the math right here. Let me see. It's just a notepad of random stuff, but like, basically, like, I gained like 2 point, what is it? I think so. I gained 2.9. Nah, I forgot what I did. But basically, it was like I gained like 3% overall damage. I mean, here, we can even run the math right now. I'll do it again. Where's my calculator at? Because I'm stupid and forgot how to do this stuff, right? So here, if you're looking at where do I put this? Over here. Make it the larger version. There's no memory. Basically, what? Immolate doesn't do anything in the first place, whatever. Conflict Rate's 20%, so 20% of that, you're looking at what? 330,000, plus, this is basic Florida math, but I got you covered. 2 million, 10% of that's 400k, so 400k. You're looking at like 700k plus Immolate being 15%. I mean, it's like nothing, man. It's like literally 60k, 65k, whatever, plus 65k. You're looking at basically an 800 DPS gain, or 800k overall damage gain. So my 16.116 basically goes to, like, here, see this, 6 plus 16.160000. It goes 16,955. So take this and divide this by the raw duration, which is 236 seconds. Yeah, divide it by 236. We're doing about 71,873 DPS, which is how much more than I was doing? Want to guess? Wow, 3k! It's whatever, man. Buffing the fillers doesn't really do much, and obviously it's very rough napkin math here, but it doesn't really do much, because I mean, like, it's a little bump and a little bump and a little bump, but like the ruination nerf in conjunction with the, or like the filler buffs, like whatever. But it's weird because like it was roughly around there before. It's almost like a slight retooling and a minor buff to Destro single target. But Affliction has been sitting around there roughly too, a little bit higher, like 73, 74k-ish in testing for me in single target. And it makes me wonder, maybe that's like the rough number Blizz is shooting for. Like 70, 75k roughly in these settings. I'm just doing stuff. These are all irrelevant. They don't, don't worry about this stuff. It's not, doesn't matter. It's just like a drawn out dummy test. Maybe it's somewhere around there. Could be wrong. I don't know. If you look at Demo changes as well, one thing I want to point out here for Soul Harvester, both Demo and Affliction, the RNG on Manifested Demonic Soul is wild. This is a 3-minute test, 348, 6%. This is a 3-minute test, 17%. Sometimes he just procs as active for over a minute. Phenomenal. Sometimes he barely procs at all. The RNG on this thing is wild. It does a lot of damage. They nerfed the damage by 25% today as well, so there's that, but large disparity. Now, I'm not going to run all the math here because there's more things to look at, but they basically nerfed Jailer by 45%, Inquisitor by 45, Sacrolash, and Elithalast by 45 as well. Now, there's variants in Nether Portal. So you have Inquisitor here, for example, at 10%. 2 million. It's just two different tests on a dummy here, right? 2 million damage, roughly 10%. Jailer 8 or 17. Here you have Jailer 17, and you have Inquisitor 3%, and you have Grand Warlock, Ablavlis, and Sacrolash down here at 2% and 2%. More Jailers here. Variants, RNG. We have like I think 3 portals here, probably versus 4. Yeah. Yeah, 4 portals here versus 3, so we just like roll more Jailers here. But that's the RNG of, I'm calling it Portal, by the way. Portal is Dominion of Argus. It's our Apex talent. It's basically a fixed version of the Portal, right? Fun to play with for, but it has a lot of RNG to it. I believe you can only spawn 1 Grand Warlock, 1 red one red. The purple lady and the red lady only spawn 1 time. You can't spawn multiples of them. So sometimes you don't spawn one of them regardless, and you just spawn like 4 Jailers and 1 Inquisitor. Sometimes you spawn 1 Fire Lady and 3 Jailers and 1 Inquisitor. Sometimes you spawn 1 Shadow Lady and 3 Jailers, 1 Inquisitor. Sometimes you spawn both of these and 3 Jailers. Like, but you can't spawn more than 1 of the same copy of this thing. You can spawn multiple Jailers, multiple Inquisitors, and that's where the RNG comes from. Sometimes you spawn Jailers that their average hit is 10k. Sometimes you spawn Inquisitors, their average hit is 25k. What if you high roll Inquisitors and low roll Jailers? What if you high roll? It's just RNG, right? These things hit for 10k, but they hit 400 times. These things hit for 20k, but they hit for 70 times. So if you're able to high roll Jailers, you're doing a lot of damage. So I think what they should do here is revert this change, but just come in and maybe there's some way to like fix the, like, maybe fix isn't the word, but like tweak the proc rate of these. So it's like you proc Sacrolash or Elithalus or whatever, and then you proc either Jailer or then you proc either Inquisitor. So you're procking like, it procs 1 of 4 demons, then when 1 procs, the next proc is 1 of 3, then 1 of 2, and the 4th proc is obviously just the last demon, whatever it is. And if you get a 5th one, it's random again. But if you just high roll like Jailers or Inquisitors, it skews damage so much. And that being skewed with Demonic Soul makes it even worse. This thing procs sometimes a bunch, sometimes not at all. That makes it very, very swingy RNG. I think the better change is to come in, add some kind of like, check what I procced already, proc something else. before you proc it again thing, which is already built into these technically in a sense, right? But I don't think you want to nerf these by 45. These don't do anything. Like, I mean, they do a very little bit of damage, a very, very little bit. Like, in cutting these in half, it's like below like my pet's melee, which is super low in the first place. You're getting into like embellishment range. Like, it's terrible, right? Like, if you want to do this right, we need to come in and probably hit jailer, maybe hit inquisitor a little bit if you high roll, but hit the ones that are causing the problems. You know, I mean, look at jailer here. Like I mean, we high rolled here, right? He hits hard in general. We high rolled here, right? Look here. Like, look at jailer here. Like, we're just high rolling him in our first portal here. Look at the damage breakdown in this window, right? Like, it's just like, I mean, like, it's just jailers. You high roll jailers. Like, we didn't even roll a shadow lady. We didn't roll a single inquisitor or a single shadow lady. We literally just rolled 1 fire lady and 4 jailers or whatever. Like, look at the breakdown here. I mean, like this is what we need to hit. We need to fix this. Coming in and blanket nerfing everything by 45 is still going to have the same amount of RNG here, but it's just going to have like the ones like the fire lady or shadow lady or even inquisitors, when they proc, they just do no damage at all. So like, I get why they're nerfing it, and they need to, being real. But we need to do it in, I think, in a different fashion, because I don't think a blanket nerf 45 is right. There needs to be some level of like consistency with the Apex talent. Sometimes you're gonna have this happen. Sometimes you're gonna have like just fire and shadow lady and 2 of the lesser pets, and you're gonna do way less damage. You have the same proc chance RNG still. They all just hit half as hard, and that's awkward, right? So that's something in itself hopefully gets looked at. I want to mention in this video, looking at like the raw nerf here, I took both these logs. I think I took this log here. I know where it went. Here. I averaged them together roughly. Like looking at this log here with Inquisitor being 9, or sorry, with Soul being 6 and Soul being 16 here. And I got like a 15 to like 18% nerf, but there's a lot of RNG here. Once again, it's super swingy. It might be more, it might be less, right? It looks super up. Napkin math looks to be about like a 16% nerf, roughly, up and down a bit based on my subpar testing and everything else, but it's substantial. However, the math came out to being roughly like 78 to 80k in single target if I average this together and looked at what it would be post nerf. Pre nerf, we were sitting at like 95k. It's like 80k roughly, give or take, which I would assume probably still on the higher end of like what their number looks to be, but not like in the excessive range for needs to be nerfed. In the end, some classes are just going to be stronger than others in single target by a bit. But if you're doing 95k versus others doing 70 or 60, you're probably gonna get knocked down. If you're doing 80k versus others doing like 75, 74, 72, you're just good, right? And in the end, whether it's a demo lock or a sub rogue or a dev evoker or whatever, some classes are better than others with tuning. It's how every patch goes, right? But TLDR, demo got knocked down a good bit, was expected, honestly. But hopefully this puts most classes in that general like vicinity of, okay, we're around the number we want internally for Blizzard. Now we can tweak and tune things. What should happen? I think you should buff Chaos Bolt for Destro more. This should buff Unstable Affliction for AF more. Probably a little bit to bump them up. Demonology, I mean, this is all like spitballing and theoretical because we don't have the numbers or the ability to play it on retail or PTR beta, but if things were going to change with Destro, I would like some Chaos Bolt buffs. Filler spells feel, when they get buffed a bunch and they get closer and closer to Bolt, it just feels bad. I want to cast bolts that do damage, right? Obviously, Incinerate and Conflagrate can be buffed for sure if like they're a little worried about Bolt, but brother, Bolt's hitting for 90k, my Ruination's hitting for 145, Soulfire's hitting for double Chaos Bolt. It's fine. We can buff it by 10, 20%, by 20. Affliction actually feels like, it feels fun to play. I think UA could use some baseline buffs. Tweak it a bit and see where it goes. There's modifiers in single target you play versus not an M+, but like, I think the Soul Harvester nerfs that came in last week that were just the universal ones that hit Demonology and Affliction might have hit AF a bit more than maybe we should have, possibly. I think if we just buff AF's toolkit, buff UA baseline, and go from there. There's a lot of things that are a part of AF, like the Apex talent, which I think is bugged Only proc. I think they nerfed the damage by half. It didn't double the proc rate. Could be wrong there, but worth looking at. Haunt, Drain, still execute things. Death's Embrace. They're making up like good parts of Af's damage in single target, so it doesn't look as bad. Like, oh yeah, it might not be fully UA based. Af looks okay in single target. If you break it down, Af's like, I think I have a log here somewhere. Let me see. I might not. Let me see here. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Let's see. Dummy testing. Maybe. This is also like pre-Malefic Grasp fix and stuff. I might have like a general log here. Yeah. It's like 19%. It's also pre-Malefic Grasp, so it's going to be like a bit lesser now. It's like it's terrible, but look at what Bolt's doing for Destro. 30%. And it feels like we could buff it more too, right? Wherever it went in here somewhere. So, I mean, we'll see where that goes. If they're going to buff things, though, for AF, I think probably UA. Destro, Chaos Bolt. Demonology, got to see where it lands and make that general, well, figure it out when we get there. But that's that. Those are the changes. Expected nerfs to Demonology. Destro retooling. Expected more Destro buffs. It's open for Chaos Bolt. Got this instead. I don't know what's happening here. This is a weird one. It was buffed last week. It was doing a lot of damage AoE, but that's what Hellcaller does. And yeah, so that's that. Thanks for watching, guys. GG, GN. We'll see you later. I'm eating some chicken Alfredo for dinner. Sounds good. Peace.